feels like you wake up and you're on the wrong side. If you listen, I'ma tell a few things that might change your mind. Have you had it when it seems like you wake up and you're living in a lie? Take a minute just to breathe, cause you know I'm about to take that ride.
Right back to memory lane. Went through some things on how I tried to deal with my pain. Looking for validation, looking for admiration, even if I had to fake it.
Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, so am I. I'm just figuring this out as I go. My name is Pandem, and this is the first episode of Pandem Random, where I just talk about things that are on my mind. Probably not political things, just things I find interesting or worthy of discussion. And shout out to the real Veronica for her inspiration to finally do this after I've been thinking about it for months. So what I want to talk about today is the power of "that's not for me." 4 little words. That's it, 4 words. But very powerful words. And I did actually write a script for this. I'm going to stick close to it just because there are points I want to make sure that I make. So let me explain the power of "that's not for me" and why I want to talk about it. So I have a therapist. A few months ago we were talking, and we were talking about video games because we're both gamers, we both love games. And I was talking about some old game, I don't remember what it was, that I really, really loved. And when I asked him, if he played it, what he thought about it, his response was, "That's not for me." Just offhand comment, nothing unusual about it, conversation moved on. But that phrase really stuck in my head. So I thought about it, and thought about it, I was like, that's different. I like that, that's interesting. That's not for me. So, in those words, I feel there's a lot of power. So, I'll explain it. If there's something you don't like, and everybody has something they don't like, we all do, it's just part of life. There's a big difference between saying, "this sucks," and "that's not for me." I'm going to use video game examples because we were talking about video games. For example, a video game. If you don't like a particular video game, you say, "this game sucks, this game is trash," whatever. That's an opinion, and it's only your opinion. If you said things like, "the character designs are boring, the plot is predictable, the gameplay mechanics are confusing, the graphics aren't top tier," those are all still opinions, but they're more like critiques because they're more detailed and you have specific points backing them. So using those examples, another person might really love the character designs. Somebody who maybe isn't as experienced in storytelling as you are might like that plot that you found predictable. Someone with a different physical memory might really like the game mechanics. And somebody who isn't into graphics might think the graphics are just fine. They're okay. And that brings me to my first point about the power of "that's not for me," which is less negativity in communication. So as I said, there's a big difference between "this sucks, this is trash," and "that's not for me." But why does that matter? Speaking purely for myself, solely my opinion, nobody else's, I can't stand the 50 Shades of Grey books. I tried. I made it in 3 chapters into the first one and quit. Just done. I really did try. I found it poorly written, poorly edited, boring, and unfair, unrealistic portrayal of BDSM. And a lot of people love them. Obviously, a lot of people love it. Got made it in 3 movies. Clearly, the fan base was there and the money was there for it. So does that mean that I'm wrong about them? No, it doesn't. It just means that they weren't for me, or literally everybody I know in the BDSM community. The point is, they just weren't for us. So if I took that opinion, these books are trash, and I went around telling everybody these books are trash, then the people who actually like me and respect my opinion on things, and those people are going to, they're going to agree, of course, but people who don't like it, or people who do like them, and formerly respect my opinion, they're going to feel judged. They're going to feel like, you like these trash books, so now I think you're a moron. And that's not generally true. But either way, it's not a feeling you want to give off. So when you say that's not for me, they're free to still have it be for them, to say they liked it without being judged, without feeling like you like these things, so I don't respect you anymore. If that makes sense. And I generally don't judge people out loud, but I can understand how blasting something that somebody really likes could make them feel judged. And that's not nice. It's a very negative thing to put into the world. And that's what you and I and everybody else does when we state our opinions in such a way like they're objective facts. Like if I'm to say, going back to video games real quick, if I'm to say Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League sucks, it was terrible, it was trash, my friend who really liked the game is just going to feel like put down, feel insulted. And that's not nice, that's not fair, it's not right. So if I just say, it wasn't for me and the majority of Earth agrees with me, okay. Because the majority of Earth apparently did agree with me. But it doesn't make that person feel as bad. It's not as negative. It's not as judgy as saying something sucks, or you think something's trash, something's garbage, whatever. And it's a more positive, more inclusive conversation. It leaves room for people to share their opinions without feeling judged, to share the things they like and they take value in without being judged. And you got to remember, you're not special. Somebody else's opinions are just as valid as yours. And here I am drawing a distinct line between opinion and morality. Okay. So, that leads nicely into the second point of that's not for me, my second major point on it, being that saying that takes away the concept of self-supremacy. And let me explain that real quick. I think when you say this thing is good or this thing is bad, it's a subjective opinion. It's always going to be a subjective opinion. It's one person from their one little perspective cannot determine if something is good or bad or why. You're not the sole arbiter of what's good and what's bad in the world. You are not the judge of all the earth. But people nowadays tend to present their opinions in such a way that if you disagree with them, you're wrong. It's on you. You're at fault. You're the flaw because you disagree with me. That is self-supremacy. That is heightened self-righteousness and arrogance. And saying that's not for me takes away from that. It doesn't demean, devalue, or denigrate people who disagree with you if you say that's not for me. If you say that sucks, that's trash, that's terrible, you're a terrible person for liking it, then you're doing that. You're putting more negativity in the world. You're hurting people's feelings on purpose, whether you know it or not, because you think you're the top shit. You're the one who decides what's good and bad in the world. Another example of this is The Acolyte, the recent Star Wars Disney series. And I liked it. It had problems. It did have some plot problems, definitely. A lot of plot holes in there. But the action scenes were awesome. And the overall story, although it was kind of lacking and there's some parts that could have been filled in, I kind of liked it because it showed a side of the Star Wars universe we don't often get to see. In which really, in that situation, in that story, the Jedi were the bad guys. And I liked that about it. But there were hundreds of thousands of people online tearing that show down. For whatever reasons. From what I saw, very little of it was actually critique. They actually say, okay, this character's plot line didn't make sense. These actions didn't make sense. This isn't the way that Jedi have been traditionally represented, etc., etc. Those would be valid critiques. Those would be solid critiques. It was mostly just opinions of, oh, it's whack. Oh, it's too woke. Oh, it sucks. Oh, it's girl boss garbage, whatever. There was a lot of that going on, and people, of course, fighting in comments, disagreeing with that. And that arrogance and that self-righteousness and that self-supremacy sense, there's way too much of that in the world. I take it back. There's way too much of that in America. I can't speak for the rest of the world. I'm not in the rest of the world. But there's way too much of that in America, and we need to start dialing that shit back. It's gotta stop, because that self-supremacy notion, that heightened arrogance, that stops you from listening to others. Again, talking about matters of opinion here, not matters of morality or ethics. Talking about matters of opinion. That self-supremacy, it's got to be dialed back. It needs to stop. And what you can do to stop it is, instead of like bashing the crap out of something that other people enjoy, you can just say, that's not for me. Wasn't my bag. But you have at it. Not yucking the yum there. You have at it. You enjoy it, go for it. And my third major point on that's not for me, of the power of those words, is that it's harder to argue against. It's really a lot harder to argue against. If you're discussing a TV show or a book or a movie or a video game or something with one of your friends and you say that's not for me, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? You know you better than they do. How are they going to argue against that? Well, you should love this game because, nope. Not a valid argument. You're projecting what you think I am onto who I actually am. Nope, not good. Sounds terrible, can't do it. Shouldn't do it. Sure, people will try, but it's just harder to argue against, and I like that. It's a little more conflict avoidant, but it's a good thing. And arguing against it makes other people look bad. So, you don't have to try to make them look bad. They'll make themselves look bad arguing against you, which is always a win in my book. So yeah, that's it. I'll try to keep this under like 15 minutes or so. And I'm doing it on my old phone because that way I can flip it and put it on TikTok without a whole lot of editing work. But yeah, that's it. Just start saying, instead of being like, this sucks, this is terrible. Oh, there was another reason, I just remembered it. A fourth reason for my belief in the power of that's not for you is that I hate being factually inaccurate. So when it comes to things like 50 Shades of Grey, we'll go back to that. When it comes to things like that, if I say, oh my God, no one likes that book, no one cares about that book, no one likes that movie, or no one cares about that movie, that means that if there's one single person on the planet who likes those books, who likes those movies, who cares about those books and those movies, I'm factually inaccurate. I'm wrong. I don't like that. I don't like being wrong. When I am, I will fully take responsibility, accept it, apologize, change my ways, whatever. But I don't like it. So that's why I don't like to say things like no one cares, no one likes that, etc., etc. Because it's just too easy to be wrong. When you say that's not for me, the only person you're speaking for is you. And you shouldn't be wrong about yourself. So I like that a little better. Again, also, if one person in the world cares about it, and I really don't like those phrases anyway. No one likes this, no one likes that, no one cares about this, no one cares about that. I really don't like that anyway, because it's like you're daring to speak for the entire population, 99.9999999% of which you have not met. Again, there's an arrogance in those. There's an arrogance and a weakness because it's not enough for you to say, I don't like that, I don't care about that. You have to throw it in with everybody else to like strengthen your position. I don't know. It's a thing I'll get into in a whole other video. Don't worry about it. But right now, just that's not for me isn't factually inaccurate. Cannot be factually inaccurate unless you're lying, which is a whole separate problem. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I want to encourage people to say, instead of this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this is terrible, this is trash, whatever, just say that's not for me. Because some people out there might really love those things, might really enjoy those things, and you're yucking their yum. You're devaluing them. You're making them feel bad. You're causing emotional damage unnecessarily, and there's enough of that in the world. Say that's not for me. It's more positive, it's more powerful, and it leaves space for people to have their own feelings and to share their own feelings. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll do a second episode probably in a couple weeks or so. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me ramble about this shit. Have a good one.
Ever wonder what it feels like to wake up and you're on the wrong side? If you listen, I'ma tell a few things, I might change your